Hey, what's up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen? I hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to the Creepy and Paranormal Show. And today is episode number 29, which is a discussion on the Drakensberg Haunting. So yeah, if for those of you that don't know about the Drakensberg, where it's situated, it is in South Africa, basically on the border of KwaZulu-Natal, but we'll touch a little bit more on that a little bit later. In the meantime, it is time for the intro, which was brilliantly produced by the most talented composer at the moment by the name of Esandai, so massive shout out to him. And it's time to drop the intro. Look behind you. Right, so the Drakensberg. Basically, the Drakensberg is situated in the eastern portion of the Great Escarpment, which encloses the central southern African plateau. The Great Escarpment reaches its greatest elevation at 2,000 to 3,482 meters within the border region of South Africa as well as Lesotho. Now, the Drakensberg Escarpment stretches for more than 1,000 kilometers from the Eastern Cape province all the way up until basically the border between Lesotho and the Eastern Cape, and the Lesotho and KwaZulu-Natal province border. So, yeah, it is huge, it is massive, it is crazy, crazy big. And I'll tell you something, it is absolutely beautiful. Sorry about the dogs barking there. They decided that they needed to be on the podcast as well. So, like I was saying, the Drakensberg is absolutely beautiful. It's breathtaking. It's everything what people tell you about it. It was my first trip in my whole 34 years of life. It was my first trip down to the Drakensberg. And it was really great to get away with the family and close friends of ours. And we just really had a wonderful time, and the weather was fantastic. It was actually warmer down in the Drakensberg than it was in Gauteng where we stay. So yeah, obviously going down to the Drakensberg, I started trying to do some research on haunted stories or ghost stories coming out of there, and the knowledge and information online is very limited. But when I got down there, I got speaking to some of the local people, and boy, oh boy, did I hear some crazy stories. Now, our good friends that accompanied us, well, had us come down with them to Drakensberg, they do a lot of hiking and outdoorsy kind of things. So they knew some hiking trails, and the one morning I decided to go with my good friend of mine, and we headed out on a hike into the forest. Now, when I found out which forest we're going to, obviously I mentioned this, and I heard a story or a couple of stories from people living in the area about what happens inside this forest. Now, some of the stories are conflicting in a sense, but it's because nothing has actually been physically seen. Everything is that whole mysterious, creepy presence that is inside the forest. So yeah, it was absolutely enchanting going on this little hike. We left early in the morning, and it was very, very cold that morning in particular, and making our way towards the actual hiking trail, we were walking, and we saw a sign that said that it was actually closed. The hiking trail was closed due to the bridges being washed away from flash floods that had happened in the recent couple of months. So we decided to just break the rules and go against the grain and continue with the hike, and we did go on this hike. Nonetheless, we had to cross little streams and rivers by means of crossing on rocks, and we got a little bit wet in the process, but nonetheless it was all part of the experience. Everybody has their own morning routines, but on the top of my list is coffee. Strong, hot black coffee.
I physically can't start the day without a cup. However, sometimes life gets in the way and you're forced to buy a cup of coffee while on the road. And if you're like me, you struggle to find one that tastes good and is affordable. Well, now there is a one-stop solution for you. Homeground Coffee. The name is brilliant and so is the service. Situated at Benoni Northern Sports Ground, it's a nice central point for your morning commute. And why not get a delicious muffin or pie to go along with it? Homeground Coffee is the perfect go-to, and I advise you strongly to give them a try. When you do, let them know that I sent you. Find them on Facebook at Homeground Coffee as well as Instagram. That's Homeground Coffee, HOMEGROUND.
So I must just say, as you can see by the photos and one or two videos in the clips, it is absolutely beautiful and really majestic and mystic inside there. Now, when we had gone, we were the only two people inside this little forest doing the hiking trail, and it is eerie as hell, especially hearing some of the stories that people told me. And making our way through the forest, obviously you step on twigs and you hear a little crackle here and there, but every now and then we'd stop for a drink of water and you would just hear rustling and bustling in the forest. And obviously that is nature happening around you. But I'll tell you something, it is so eerie, like pretty much knowing that no one else should be coming on this pathway because it has been closed due to the flash floods, as I previously mentioned. But yeah, it was crazy. And we eventually made our way to the first waterfall. And at that waterfall, I actually posted the video to my TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook, as well as Twitter and Instagram page, where that waterfall, many people apparently have been standing at the top there taking photographs or just sightseeing and have been pushed by an invisible spirit or force and have fallen down there. None to their death from what I've been told. However, they have been seriously injured. And in the video it doesn't look that hard, but I'll tell you something, it's not a fall you wanna experience. And just knowing that you fell because something pushed you that was in the forest, I think that makes it even more terrifying. But yeah, so that was quite eerie to see that firsthand, that waterfall that had been explained to me by said locals. They have asked me to keep their names and details out of the podcast because I actually wanted to do an interview with them. But yeah, it is what it is, unfortunately. But they did tell me some of the stories. And one of the stories that they told me, which was quite a creepy one, just because I'd done a podcast episode on mountain feral men a couple of episodes ago. And they'd said that if you go early morning, just as sun's about to start peeking through some of the trees and that, you might find yourself seeing one of these feral people that live apparently in the Drakensberg mountains. Now, like I said, the mountains are 1,000 kilometers long, so it could span anywhere, and there's a lot of place to hide. I mean, if you walked on some of the hiking trails there, you can see how easy it is to hide yourself within there, especially if you are dressed appropriately and camouflaged. But they say that there are feral people living in the mountains, and they have attacked livestock on the farms surrounding these hiking trails. So they say that they're not very scared of people because they have encountered them a couple of times, and I'm just so grateful we never saw them. However, I tell you, you always felt like someone was watching you, and at times we were walking, and my friend and I were quiet because it was single pathways. You couldn't walk next to each other, so I was walking behind him, and every now and then it would just go quiet between the two of us. We wouldn't say anything, and I would look forward, but look at the side of my eye just to try and catch a glimpse of the forest to see if anything was happening while I wasn't looking. And of course, I saw flashes of things, and I quickly spun my head around, and there was nothing there. So it could just be something in my mind that I'm thinking about it, and obviously I will see what I'm thinking. But yeah, it was rather creepy. They say that these feral people you come across, they actually sound like I'm not too sure if it's apes or monkeys per se, but they say that they don't talk English, they don't speak a language, they speak like grunting, ruffling sounds out their mouths, just like a monkey and an ape would do as well, I suppose. And I tell you something, if I had to have heard that as clear as day, I probably would have bolted out there as fast as anything. Like I say, we heard a lot of birds, a lot of the stream because we were walking along the river path. You hear a lot of the water as well, which, like I said earlier, it's quite majestic. But yeah, just the thought of these mountain men or feral men watching your every move, maybe getting ready to attack you, it's rather exhilarating. Yes, it was scary, but it was rather exhilarating as well. I've heard of people that have actually spent and camped out the night inside that forest. I think they are fucking crazy because it's wet. It's everything what you think a forest is. It's just, it's not suitable for human living, but they stayed out the night and they said there was something scratching on their tent wall. Oh my gosh, like I say, I would walk on water. That's how fast I would get out of there. And when they opened their tent, there was nothing there. They shone their torch, they saw nothing but obviously just rustling in the leaves and that. But it just makes you wonder, how dangerous are these feral people that they haven't attacked anyone, or not anyone that we know of. Yes, they've attacked livestock according to local legend, but they haven't attacked any humans yet, which makes you wonder, how scared of us are they? When, in fact, if they really are there, I probably am more scared of them than they are of myself. But yeah, it was just really crazy walking in there with this mindset that there could be mountain people in there. But luckily for us, we never saw any of them.
Today's sponsor is called Invoice Cloud. Now, this is really awesome if you're an entrepreneur, small business owner, or even a freelancer. You know how difficult it is to manage and then create those invoices for your customers. But with Invoice Cloud, you have everything you need to create simple, professional estimates on the fly. It's easy to use and understand, and getting rid of all the nonsense so you can have more time to do what matters most, which is to grow your business. Invoice Cloud allows you to add your company details, logo, customer information, as well as products, making it a breeze to send estimates to your clients anytime, anywhere. Now, if you want to start your free 7-day trial and get invoicing in just under 5 minutes, all you need to do is head over to invoicecloud.co.za and boom, you are sorted. That's invoicecloud.co.za.
And there's one section of this hiking trail where it is right on a steep decline or incline, whichever way you have it, on the edge of the mountain. And down below is the river, and up top is like a looking point. And apparently some lady was taking a photo or a selfie there, and she actually fell to her death. She didn't die from the impact. However, people couldn't get down to her fast enough because the pathways weren't clear, and they just couldn't get to her fast enough, and unfortunately she had passed away from her injuries. So that is really sad to know, especially walking through there, that someone lost their life in something so beautiful as well. Obviously nothing paranormal about that from what other people have told me, but yeah, it's just rather creepy going through there and knowing someone has passed away there, and you are just a foot slip away from possibly joining them in the dark abyss of death that it is. Nonetheless, I think this hiking trail is absolutely something on everyone's bucket list. It's just beautiful. It's got everything. It's got waterfalls, it's got dry land, it's got wetland, it's got steep incline, decline, little step ladders, man-made step ladders that you have to climb over. And especially with the flash floods that had passed through there a couple of months ago, a lot of the pathways had been terribly washed away, trees had been uprooted. So it's definitely something that you need to go and do if you can. If you're ever down in the Drakensberg, is possibly go on some of these hiking trails that are there. But also, you got to be really safe and respectful of your surroundings. You do not know if there really are feral people living in those mountains. In hindsight, looking back, just maybe 2 of us going probably wasn't the safest thing, especially that the trail was actually technically closed. But if you're going to go, I suggest you go in a group of people. Make sure you have a fully charged cell phone / cell phones, a torch, matches, just the basic essentials that if you are stranded or caught out for whatever reason, at least you have a bit of basic life living with you. So yeah, that was basically the Drakensberg. Sorry, I don't know what happened with my marker. That is basically the Drakensberg haunting that we got to experience, of just, awkwardness and creepiness. And then you wonder, because some of the stories that the locals tell you, yeah, this one was killed and that, and then you ask them how they were killed. No, they don't know. They don't know anymore. They just were told. They were just told. And when you ask more questions about how they were told, no, my mom told me, my grandfather told me. So it's all, I think, traditions that have been passed down. Whether they stem from something true is another story. But you got to remember that the Drakensberg was also home to, there it happens again with my mic. I don't know what's going on. This is rather creepy. It's actually weird, rather. But yeah, so the Drakensberg was home to a lot of Bushmen, the sand people. So there are a lot of sand rock paintings inside the caves systems that are around there, and it's absolutely stunning. So, obviously these Bushmen were pushed out of these areas back, I'm talking, hundreds and hundreds of years ago. They were pushed out of these areas by settlers that had made their way there. So, yeah, I think if they were also killed, because there was a lot of battles that took place around the Drakensberg, and obviously there's going to be a lot of wandering spirits that haven't gone to rest, because obviously I imagine being slaughtered in your village without even knowing what happened, and yeah, your soul's probably going to just wander. So yeah, there's a lot of history to the Drakensberg. I'd like to know if you have any more, if you've heard of any creepy stories that happened in the Drakensberg, or any hauntings, stuff like that. Some of those houses are exceptionally old, so probably some good stories behind it. But I don't want to leave just there on the Drakensberg. I want to dive into some haunted forest stories as well, that I came across when I was researching for information about the Drakensberg. So yeah, let's jump straight into those. The first one we're going to look at is Wistman's Wood, which is based in the Dartmoor National Park in the southwest of England. Moss and lichen drop so thickly from the tangled oak treetops that you can barely see the sky, and the place is really haunted. If you believe those familiar with it, ancient tales of druids, ghosts, and a host of other supernatural creatures have earned it a reputation as the most haunted part of Dartmoor. So yeah, I definitely think that is on the list. If you look at some of the photos online of Wistman's Wood, it looks rather beautiful and creepy at that. Next up is the Schwarzwald. Jeez, I hope I said that right. It's a German one, obviously, and it was named for its almost impenetrable darkness. The Schwarzwald, which translates to Black Forest, is the site of some of the scariest tales that the Brothers Grimm ever wrote. Now, if you followed some of their stories, there is some fucking messed up ones. And legend has it, it is haunted by werewolves, witches, as well as the devil himself. The tale of the Grossman, sometimes translated as the Slender Man, is that of a tall, horribly disfigured man with bulging eyes and many arms who compelled children to enter the forest and confess their sins. They never emerged ever again. Third on our list is a rather interesting one, which is coming out of the US of A, and this 437 kilometer long hiking trail near Bennington in the state of Vermont in the northeastern United States is believed to be where a college student named Paula Jean Weldon disappeared on 1 December 1946. But she wasn't the only one to actually vanish. 4 other people disappeared in the forest here between 1945 as well as 1950, and only one body was ever found. Now, rumors of the trail giving off what has been described as a weird haunting energy continue to this day. So yeah, that is rather creepy one to look out for. It is called the Long Trail in the United States, based in Vermont. Yeah, next up on the list, probably you have seen pictures and videos of it, but it is the island of Dolls, which is based in Mexico. Now, it is one of the world's creepiest places in La Isla de las Muñecas, or Island of the Dolls, which is south of Mexico City. The small tree-covered island was named for its collection of dolls, doll heads, and disembodied doll parts that had been strung from the jungle trees. The man who did this more than half a century ago hoped it would chase away the spirit of a drowned girl whose body washed up on the shore here. The sight of the dolls is terrifying enough, but some people have said that they've actually heard the dolls whispering to one another from high above in the treetops. Fuck me sideways. Yeah, those photos are creepy of the island of the dolls, and it's quite a sad backstory to it as well. So yeah, that is a creepy one. And last on our list, we are going to be looking at one in Japan, and once again, I'm probably going to butcher this name, but here we go. It is Akiyagahara, and in Japanese mythology, Akiyagahara, which is also known as the Sea of Trees, is at the base of Mount Fuji and is said to be haunted by demons. It is also thought that the Uraia are trapped, lost, angry, or vengeful souls flit among the twisted trees. And according to local spiritualists, the trees have a malevolent energy accumulated over centuries. It is also easy to get lost in the eerily quiet forest. Compasses, as well as mobile cell phones, sometimes don't even work. And one theory why? The high iron deposits in the soil. How they got there, who the hell freaking knows? And that is where I'm going to wrap up today's show on the Drakensberg creepy freaking haunting, as well as some of the creepy forests found around the world. Now, forests are notoriously scary if you just look at them. I mean, the canopy of the trees just blocks out all the sunlight. It's dingy, it's moist, it's cold, it's misty. It's everything that you associate creepiness with. So let me ask you this: have you ever been hiking or camping in some forest and come across something really creepy, something along the lines of the Blair Witch Project? Because that's the first thing my mind goes to when I think of haunted forests. So yeah, if you have a story like that, please, you got to contact me. Let me know what happened, and let's possibly dive into an episode of that, maybe a deep dive episode, because we haven't done one of those yet on the show. And that is it basically for today. A nice, quick, easy one. I'm really working on an exciting project at the moment. I can't say anything about it yet. It's exciting in the sense that we might have the opportunity to actually help a family with something, and it's not creepy or paranormal, but it relates to true crime. And I just feel like a case like this, if we could help someone, then my job is done. I'm done. I'm 100% happy with what I will achieve from that. But that's in the pipeline. So yeah, let me know what you think of the show, what you think of the episode, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share as always. And when you go to bed tonight, don't forget to look under your bed.